you're missing out on quite a bit, because this can really help you get back into shape super quickly, and this worked for me. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Vedant. Welcome back to the channel. So today guys, I wanted to talk about making big gains fast in running. If you've been here from the very beginning, you might have seen that I started running on this channel about a month ago, and it's been a month, and I made some pretty big progressions, and I wanted to share with you guys how you can do that. I've gotten my time down to 4:45, which is not a PR. It is a somewhat respectable time for a high schooler, and I assume that most of my viewers are probably in that, 4:30 to like 6 flat range. So if you are in that range, and let's say you're starting up your season again, or you're coming back from injury, or whatever it may be, you want to make some big gains fast. And if you've been training for a while and been doing things really consistently, then you're on the right track. There's no exact shortcut to any of it. If you are injured and you feel like you're getting set back a lot, I think some of these tips could really help you. So I'm bringing you guys 8 things that you can do to make some pretty big gains fast. And this is what I did, and then in about a month I've almost reached my PR time. So if you guys are new here, or if you've been here for a while, please be sure to like and subscribe before we get into the video. Watch to the end, because the last tip was super important for me, and I think a lot of you guys could benefit from that one. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, the first tip that I have for you is actually an extremely self-explanatory tip. When you come back or take time off and you want to come back into running, I suggest that you do your workouts faster than just a normal relaxed pace. If you actually do your workouts when you come back, you'll see benefits really fast, and that's a super self-explanatory tip that a lot of people can tell you, right? The more intense your training is, you quickly gain that fitness at a very, very fast rate. But there is a really big downside to this, and it is that you can get injured really easily. So you want to know your body. You kind of want to train that middle area of where you're training sort of intense, but it's not going to like lead you to an injury or anything like that. And that's when you want to be responsive to how you feel in your body, and that's really important. So make sure you guys don't get injured, because that's probably one of the worst things that can happen, and you don't want that to happen, right? So that is tip number 1, very self-explanatory. Alright, so tip number 2 is that your recovery should depend on the intensity of the workout you're about to run. Let's say you're on 10 miles a week, you're just doing easy runs. Your recovery does not matter that much, because all your running is pretty easy. And even if you don't recover the best way, maybe you get like 7 hours of sleep a day, it's not going to actually affect you that much, because your body does not really need that much recovery. You probably should strive for 8 hours a day, even if you're not even running, That's probably healthy for someone, kid or a teenager. So obviously try to aim for 8 hours a day, but if you're not doing much intensity, you don't need to focus on the recovery all that much. Now, on the other hand, if you are training high mileage, let's say like 40, 50, 60, 70, and above, that's when you really need to start, paying attention to your recovery, because that's where training matters a lot, because you can spend 2 hours of just training, and then the next 22 hours of your day will dictate how the next training session is going to be by your recovery, So you want to get good recovery so you can have a good workout, and then, eventually the recovery and all your quality workouts, will pay off, and then you'll hit the time you want to achieve, whatever you want to do. So yeah, it's really important that if you are a higher mileage athlete, get your sleep, get your recovery, and I'll talk more about that later on in a second. But moving on to tip number 3, cross training is so essential and key to coming back quickly. You guys don't even know, if you've never done cross training, you're missing out on quite a bit, because this can really help you get back into shape super quickly, and this worked for me. Alright, so what I recommend with cross training is that the amount of intensity you're doing, or the amount of duration you are cross training for, you want to replicate that onto your mileage and the amount of time you're doing that for. So you're basically replicating the amount of mileage cross training to your actual running mileage, so that even though you're not running, you're kind of getting the same benefit, just without the impact on your muscles. So you might be losing some of the strength, but otherwise, cross training is a great alternative that I really recommend. Cross training, you gotta do it. And that comes into my 4th tip, which is try to replicate your workouts with intensity as close as possible, whether it's in the bike or the pool or whatever you may be in. Try to get it to what you would actually be running like. And the main part of this is trying to replicate your heart rate. Try to get your heart rate to the same level as you would be in your workout, and that's gonna pay off big time, because you're getting that same, aerobic system training. You probably won't be able to get any anaerobic system training, because you won't have as much impact, although you could have a lot of resistance, and that could actually work out. But for the most part, you probably won't be getting much anaerobic activity in your workout, because that's just how things are. Cross training, it's a lot less impact. So for example, interval training, you want to keep your heart rate up for a certain duration of time, and then let it go down for a certain duration of time, and then spike it up. That's how interval training works, and you can replicate that with your biking workouts or your swimming workout, whatever workouts you're doing. Alright, and that brings me to tip number 5, which is implement strength training into your workout. I used to do this, so when I was injured, I would do 1 hour of cross training in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I'd do 30 minutes of like strength work on my lower body if I was feeling alright. Now, the thing about strength training is that not everyone can do it, and that's just because your injured area, if you are injured, may actually hurt a little bit, so it's not always a good idea if it's gonna, aggravate the injury, but if it does not aggravate the injury, it's a very good idea, especially if you're going into running pretty soon. So chances are that you've lost some strength and muscle in your legs if you've taken some time off of running, and if you want to make that big gain back, you're going to need to do some strength training to rebuild some of the muscle. Obviously, take it gradually. Don't like go all out on strength and then not be able to run. That's not the best idea. And don't go all out and suddenly become a bodybuilder. You are probably not a bodybuilder if you're watching this. Maybe you are. I don't know. If you have a coach, he could probably give you some exercises that would be good for you. But squats, lunges, all that sort, calf raises are also really good for the Achilles tendon, but just the simple things are really good. And then activating your glutes and your hamstrings are also great things to do so you don't get anything injured once you come in. Alright, tip number 6 is to sleep, and that kind of relates a lot to tip number 2, but I've been focusing on my sleep recently. I've been getting 8 to 9 hours a day, which is a lot more than the usual 7.5 hours I usually get during the school year. So I've been noticing some pretty big gains, and I'll get into that later. So yeah, it can be hard to actually get sleep. I understand that there's a lot of distractions nowadays, and sleep is not a priority for a lot of people, but if you're serious, you'll get your sleep. And as I said earlier, if you're high mileage, sleep is really crucial for you. Number 7, and this comes on later in the list, and most of the stuff that I'm putting later on the list is pretty important. So this is not a neglectable tip at all. It's make sure you do not get injured. So you want to be smart about the mileage that you're running at when you're coming back to running. If you've taken a break or if you've been injured, you want to be really smart about not getting injured again, because that just puts you in a cycle and you don't want that. So as tip number 1 said, make sure that you're running faster if you want to make that quick gain quickly. But as I said, do not get injured, because that's going to ruin your chances of something more in the future, and it's just going to put you in that really bad cycle if you keep getting injured again. Yeah, something I don't recommend. I've had personal experience with that, and I hope none of you guys have to go through that. But also make sure that you're not scared. Being scared can limit you quite a bit. You should kind of know when you're supposed to hurt and when you're not supposed to hurt. If you're coming back, there might actually be a chance that you're supposed to feel this pain or aching, and you're just kind of supposed to get through that. If you take a long time off running, you're gonna feel some pain, and that's kind of natural. So make sure you understand that it's natural, but also make sure you understand when pain is unnatural and it's just a lot more than what it's supposed to be, and make sure you react to that. Take care of yourself. That's basically what I'm implying. Alright, and my last tip for you guys, tip number 8, to use an elliptical. The elliptical has been one of the best things in training for me, and it helped me get back into shape super quickly. Like, the first time I took some time off running and used the elliptical to get back into it, I nearly PR'd after taking 1 week off of running. So, I did not get slower at all in the 6 weeks that I was not running, and the elliptical is really great for that because it can skyrocket your heart rate like crazy, and it's super easy to get your heart rate up. So if you guys have not been using an elliptical and you have access to one, I really recommend using the elliptical, because it's a great tool to have, and it's super easy to simulate running on that. So I'd really recommend it. I'm pretty sure in like some of my workouts on the elliptical, I've been able to have my heart rate at like 190 for about an hour straight. So you can really get your heart rate up on this, and it's great for your aerobic system. You can't really do much about speed work or anything on the elliptical, but I really do recommend it for aerobic base building if you need supplements or anything like that. Alright guys, so that kind of concludes it for the tips. I hope you guys enjoyed the tips. If you guys found those tips useful, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to me. It really means a lot to me, guys. And I also wanted to talk to you guys about how training's been going so far. So this week I actually upped my mileage to 30 miles a week, which is a 10-mile difference. So last week I was on 20 miles a week, this week I'm on 30, and I plan to stay on here for a couple weeks and then move up to 40. But yeah, long run this week was 6 miles at about a 6:50 pace, and I've been supplementing my mileage up to 50 miles a week. So basically what that means is that I'm biking another 20 miles a week just to get up to the 50-mile week mark. It's basically identical to actually running 50 miles a week. It's just no impact on the miles that I'm cross training. I wanted to share with you guys my mile reps workout because I filmed that last week, and I did the same workout this time. I just did 5-mile repeats instead of 4, so I increased, and I actually hit a faster pace. My splits from last week I'll put up on the screen, and my splits from this week I'll put up on the screen. So hopefully you can see my splits from both days, and as you can probably see from this week, it's a really big improvement. My average pace was faster, and then my slowest rep from this week compared to last week is about a 15-second difference. So we already are making, you know, some pretty big gains and building mileage with that. And I will be time trialing on Saturday, and hopefully, you know, I could hit a sub 440 because that'd be really nice. But yeah, training is pretty spot on, and that's how things have kind of been going my way. Hope things are going well for you guys, and that's about all I have to say. So if you guys enjoyed, please, you know, drop the like, subscribe, and next week, not really sure of what to do for a video. So if there's anything you guys want to see, please drop that down in the comments, and I'll respond to you guys. I always get back to my comments. Other than that, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.